It's time to continue with the trippy travelings in the parallel worlds of technological Stark and magical Arcadia in the longest journey retrospective. Last time, the first game in the series that was conceived from the mind of Ragnar Tornquist certified itself as a point-and-click adventure classic, even though, at least for me, it hasn't aged as well as some of its contemporaries. It took some time before there was any kind of follow-up, but in 2006 we got Dreamfall, the longest journey.
For this entry, Mr. Tornquist shares lead design credits with fellow Anarchy Online alumni Lars Järverud and Henning Solberg, and writing credits with the fellow Future of the Secret World alumni Dag Schjev. Unfortunately for this sequel/spin-off/its complicated gaming taste had changed since the first title's release 7 years prior, and point-and-click adventure has lost significant amounts of popularity. In fact, Dreamfall was released 6 months before Sam & Max Season 1 revitalized the genre. Therefore, in order for this game to, well, stay in the game, the developers made heavy additions to its gameplay loop in order to bring more variety, but I shall eventually tell how well they succeeded. Let's continue our tale as we start in the city of Casablanca, Morocco in the year 2219, 10 years after the events of the previous game. We meet one of the 3 core playable characters, Zoe Castillo, played by Ellie Conraleigh, who is currently in coma. Well, time to go home, everyone.
Okay, it actually starts with this side character from the previous game that goes into some dark dimension, but that doesn't have that much meaning in the grander scale of things. At least not before the next game. Maybe. Yeah, you're going to soon discover how this convoluted saga keeps getting even more convoluted.
Cut to 2 weeks earlier when we meet our hapless protagonist, a bioengineer student who however has recently dropped out of university and is living with her bioengineer dad without knowing what she wants to do with her life. But boy, does the universe surprise her with this message from a mysterious girl who urges her to save the previous protagonist April Ryan. Now graphically this game looks great, for its time at least. There are some quirks of the era that haven't aged well, like super detailed teeth, but textures are smooth and Colosseum is vibrant. However, landscapes aren't as impressive as in the first game, partly due to having to downsize them because of being also released on Xbox.
Ah yes, catering to that pesky Xbox port, the tumbling stone for many PC-only franchises during the 6th console generation. It's not inherently bad. For example, Thief Deadly Shadows managed to use excellently its limitations to its advantage, but in Dreamfall's case it eats out from the grandiose scope and feeling this series is known for. At least there's not that much pointless wandering. Anyway, this game also has several choices that can affect to the plot progression and to the outcomes of certain smaller plot threads. For example, in the beginning you can either choose to go to Zoe's friend's tech shop to look for cool new stuff, or you can be a responsible adult and go to your appointed gym meeting in order to learn combat. Oh yeah, combat. Because I heard it works so well for Escape from Monkey Island.
The gears are really put into high gear when Zoe's ex-boyfriend, journalist Reza, played by Michael Ford Fitzgerald, asks her to pick up a package from the local biolab, but oh, experiment! The contact is getting gassed to death while some shady mooks are being all shady! It's probably possible to get past this lady in black without her noticing the player, but because of this game's counterintuitive camera controls and its occasional tendency to be stingy on at what position it allows the player to interact with stuff, it leads to a fight, so yes. Let's talk about the combat in this point-and-click adventure. It is a simple system of attack, strong attack and block, but several hindrances make it cumbersome. Firstly, the before-mentioned camera positions itself awkwardly, so you have to constantly sidestep to get it in proper place, which brings us to the second grievance: slow movement speed. To finish it off, enemies tend to be dumb, which later in the game gave me several easy victories, even against multiple opponents, but it was compensated by unclear signals when to do specific movements.
If I've understood correctly, combat was added because of a publisher folk mandate, so that would explain why it feels like an afterthought. One sure sign of that is that there's not any proper climax battle. In fact, that fight against that Matrix reject chick was the only time I felt close to some sort of dramatic tension. But this isn't the only addition in order to keep easily distracted gamers attentive. Oh no, we also have stealth segments. And I think they get unfairly bad rap.
Sure, they have the same problem with the combat in that they get easier towards the end, but they offer this game's most tension-riddled moments, and unlike many other editions, they function as intended. Some have complained sneaky boss to be frustrating, especially with this cave mage in Arcadia, but I don't know what they're talking about. It's not that complex to navigate, you can save and load as you please, and it contains a somewhat clever puzzle. There are indeed still puzzles in this point-and-click adventure, but some streamlining has happened. Kind of. There are now recurring puzzle formulas, from which the most common ones are the symbol matching ones that felt too easy, and these other symbol matching ones that I had more enjoyment with. There are also the classic really think outside the box ones, but they are admittedly rarer as they've had to make room for combat, stealth and cutscenes.
Oh right, I was telling about the story and then I got sidetracked. I really did leave things lingering there, huh? And now you know how I felt after finishing this game. Granted, it took 10 hours less than the previous game, but let's go through the general outline so you can see what I mean.
The scientist Zoe rescued Helena Chang, played by Irish Queen, and who, unlike Reza, will be important even towards the ending, gives her the package that, as we will later find out, is about the conspiracy involving the higher-ups at Japan-based toy manufacturer Vaticorp, that are intended to use their lucid dream-inducing DreamNet network for world-dominating purposes! And they are quite a powerful punch, as they have Reza's other contact killed in his apartment and have Zoe arrested and the package confiscated. Reza, however, still manages to deliver her a message about his current whereabouts, so she starts her world tour from the first game's place of events, the city of Newport. Speaking of which, Sarah Hamilton reprises her role as April Ryan, who is now living in Arcadia as a rebel leader against a theocratic and anti-magic Asadi empire that oppresses non-human minorities in the name of spreading their all-answering religion led by a collective of child prophets. To bring further conflict, there's also our third player character, Kian Alvane, played by Gavin O'Connor, who is an apostle to the Empire who is sent to assassinate the rebellion leader whose identity Asadi are not aware of yet. Well, calling them all separate player characters is misleading because mechanically they all act the same. The plot that is once again spread in 13 chapters moves forward from there with all kinds of shady individuals from both worlds trying to act as the leader of the Hill. I swear, this story's main antagonist changes like every 5 minutes, not that any other side character get proper focus either. The main trio, on the other hand, is complex and nuanced. Kian constantly struggles with his loyalty to the Empire and with the implications of their mission. April has loosened her sass to become cynical and just tired of it all. And Zoe has sass of moderate amount, which along with her relatable backstory makes her a rather compelling everyman type. Too bad everyone's line delivery is so flat!
The thing is, I don't really care about anything anymore. I don't have any goals or ambitions, and I hate feeling like this. It's not me.
This was a problem in the first game as well, so I'd say that this is a more of a directorial issue. The story is unfocused in general. It has way too many moving parts, which can be seen from its rushed third act, ending in at least 6 different cliffhangers. Added to that, the last 3 chapters barely have any proper gameplay. It's just walking from a cutscene to cutscene. Dreamfall, The Longest Journey is a prime example on how chasing trends can cause your game to have an identity crisis.
There is still something captivating in this saga's atmosphere. It's mysterious, dreamlike, and the audiovisuals are still pleasant even if the environmental scope had to be reduced. The gameplay is more inconsistent, however. The battle system is barely baked at all, puzzles vary from decent to insultingly easy, though I consider stealthing to be a fun time. The troubled production can be felt from the mismatch in mechanics and confusing, everywhere reaching plot that answers hardly any questions it and its predecessor brought up. So, in my opinion, the original game is slightly better because it at least knew what it wanted to be.
I'm yet to be fully warmed up to this franchise, but it has one more chance to redeem itself when we'll eventually tackle with the so far its latest game, Dreamfall Chapters, that was a release in a modern episodic format. Hopefully it's managed to be more successful in its trend chasing.
What? Sorry, just clearing my throat. Dry air. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry, the air.
Dry. Mm-hmm.